Recording.
I'm officially recording right now. We're officially recording right now.
All right. Welcome to the live button. This is the first episode of many, many episodes with me, your host, Pastorgainz, and your host, TheDadTheGamer. We are doing big things and we're transitioning into a new media, which is podcasting. So this is going to be live on YouTube. We're going to put stuff on TikTok. We're going to put stuff all over the place. But this is basically an entire podcast dedicated to helping people understand what content creation is and what our journeys have been and what we've learned and how we've learned them and our mistakes, our failures, our successes, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to put all of that together for the next, 7,000 episodes. And we're just going to
God willing,
Yeah, exactly. God willing.
God willing.
So today we're going to start at the beginning. I mean, it's the very first episode. It seems like it would be a great place to start at the very, very beginning. So we're going to talk about getting started. And that could be anything from getting started in social media to your brand, to streaming, to networking, whatever that may be. But that's what we're doing. So strap in. It's going to be a great time. These are going to be about a half hour each. We want to be very respectful of everyone's time. Also, we want to record a lot of these at one time, and that's kind of what we have to do. So, Dad, why don't you hit us with how you got started, not only in streaming, but even the idea of how that was incepted into your mind, like how you wanted to start streaming and what happened.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I mean, getting started, it's kind of a broad topic, right? But for me, I've played video games, most of my life, and I came back from a deployment and whatever. My friends, Warzone was like a thing, so I was playing with my friends, I seen Twitch was like I was seeing people blow up on Twitch, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stream to have fun. That was my kind of like objective. I didn't even know
mistake, dude.
Oh my God, that's it, bro. It hooked me. It hooked me so hard. So I started streaming, and it wasn't anything that I, thought I would turn into this, right? Like, I mean, creating a podcast with another content creator, those sort of things, right? So I didn't even know what Twitch affiliate or Twitch partner, none of that was, right? So I got started, and it hooked me. I mean, I immediately was just like drawn to it. I mean, just like everybody else, when you're getting started, first couple streams, there's nobody there, right? I mean, one person come in, I still remember, she still follows me to this day. She was my first organic follow. She just randomly found me on Twitch, and she still pops in my stream every once in a while. So it's cool to know, like, where I came from to where I am now. In terms of my growth. But so, I mean, I started March of 2021, kind of, once again, just kind of for fun. And then I think around summertime, I started taking it a little more serious, nothing to, what it's grown to now. But I knew, I was like, all right, I'm saying, I made Twitch affiliate. I think I made it like, I don't know, like a month or whatever. And I kind of just started I think that's when I started TikTok. So my wife was like, TikTok blew up when I was away, right? And everybody, I had soldiers. My wife sending me TikToks. I'm like, what is that? I'm in my mid 30s,
Why
so
is
I'm
everyone
like,
dancing?
what is this? What is this app? Like, so I got on TikTok, but I mean, like most, you're trying to find, your groove and editing right, and so a lot. If you go back and look at some of my old videos, they're terrible. I mean, they're absolutely terrible. It's everything that I tell you not to do, and so I did that, and I was getting a little bit of growth. So one thing about me is I am when something hooks onto me, I'm a perfectionist. So as an example, I a couple of years ago got into woodworking, and once again it hooked me. And long story short, I gave up woodworking just because I'm absolutely terrible at it. I can't build anything. I can't paint anything. So don't ever ask me to build something, because it's just going to turn out bad. So then I had to take a little bit of a break. For those that don't know, I'm in the military. So the military said, hey, we've got to send you this place, go to school. I'm cool, no big deal. So I take a break from, it was give or take November 2021 till beginning of 2022. But I tell people all the time that was the best time for me, because that's when I took a step back, and I had some time in the evening time. So that's when I took a step back and was really learning the craft of like content creating. There's one of my favorite movies is the movie Blow with Johnny Depp. For those that don't know it, it's a great movie, right? There's a line in there that I love when he's in prison for distributing marijuana. He says, I went to prison with a bachelor's in marijuana, and I came out with a doctorate in cocaine. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's what happened to me is like I left with maybe like an associate's in like
Mhm.
streaming. And then after those 2 months, I mean, every night I was binge watching YouTube, trying to, learn everything. So I feel like, at least now I'm maybe like at a bachelor's in content creation,
There you go.
and learning things. So yeah, I mean, I'm obviously live on Twitch, got, all the socials, got everything. And it's been a whirlwind. I hit this year and I hit it hard and it has been absolute whirlwind up until now. So how about
Dude,
yourself?
that's crazy.
You've been doing this for a minute too. So tell me about a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, dude, so my story is similar but different. Like, if that makes any sense at all. So, some of the listeners to this are gonna know and understand. Like, I came from Mixer, so all this talk right now of like Twitch is imploding, everything is crazy. Like, it's
Yeah.
very familiar to me, but at the same time, like, it's very distant because Twitch is not exactly what Mixer was. So, I started streaming on Mixer in the September of 2019. And Mixer went down in
Okay.
2020,
Yep.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So, I started based on the fact that I had a buddy who streamed on Twitch, and I had always, and I think like all of us, always had a love for video games. And
Yep.
there's always this idea that, like, I wonder, like, I like video games, so maybe I'll like making money for playing video games.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Right. Yeah.
always something in the back of your mind. So I started on the whim of the fact that I was like, I wonder if I can. Like, I wonder if I can. And that wasn't just like monetarily, but like, I wonder if I can stream. It was just a very
Yep.
basic thing. And at the time I was gaming with some dudes that were my best friends at the time. And I thought that, like, when we all gamed together, I thought it was hilarious. And I was like, this is going to
Yep.
make for great content. Like, people are going to love it, all this kind of stuff. And the second I start streaming, they stop talking to me. So
Oh my God.
these are like lifelong friends, and they were
Yeah.
just like, boom, gone. So, I was streaming on Mixer. I was doing great. Before I even went live on Mixer, I did things a little bit differently. So I networked before I went live for the very first time. So I cold called streamers on Discord. I cold called them on Instagram calls just to kind of ask questions and see
Yep.
what streaming was like. And then I obviously like inquired with my buddy who was also streaming at the time.
You did all the
And
right
he really
things.
said,
You did it right. I did like
dude, I
most
was
people,
trying because I had no idea, man. I had no, I was like, I want to do this, and I guess I want to do it right, whatever. But like, I just wanted to be successful at it, like, and I didn't even know what that looked like. And in some regards today, I still don't. But did all the networking, did all that stuff. My first or second stream on Mixer, a guy by the name of Garn Gaming, and I will never forget him because he's one of the dudes that cold called me, and or I cold called him, and he gave me tips and stuff. He
Yeah.
rated me with like 65 people.
Oh wow.
And it
That's
was like
awesome.
my second, yeah, dude, it was insane. It was my second stream ever. Of course, I'm sitting there just like grinning ear to ear because I'm like, I've made it, so many
Yeah.
people. And then like the next stream, there was like 4 people, which is still more than a lot of people have starting out. But
Yeah. Sure.
so started on Mixer, did all that kind of stuff, and then that fateful day that we got the tweet that Mixer was done. We got no
Yeah.
emails, got no nothing. It was just the tweet that Mixer was
Wow.
gone. So we had 30 days to scramble and figure out what the heck we wanted to do next. So I experimented with Facebook gaming. YouTube
Yep.
gaming was super young at the time, and that was like an immediate no at that point. And then Twitch. And it came down to like asking my community, where do you guys want to go? So
Yep.
a lot of people chose Twitch. And the reason I didn't even get to Twitch in the first place was because it was so big and it was so oversaturated. But at this point, I just didn't have a choice,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So went over to Twitch, and I've been streaming on Twitch now for 2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's weird because I consider my streaming and my content creation like almost two different things at the time, because when I was just streaming on Twitch, you can see on Twitch tracker, it's just like a very, very small graph going slightly up.
Yeah.
But then you can see the moment that
Yep.
TikTok enters the scene. You can see the moment where I start becoming a content creator
Yep.
and building this brand that I'm working on. And like, it just starts to rocket up. The second TikTok got involved, things got really, really wild for me.
Yeah, I was the same way. If you look at, you go all those websites, the tracker websites, and it was,
Yeah.
there's just this little slow little thing, and then like I said, January of 2022, that's when I was like, I'm gonna hit it hard. And if you look at
Yeah.
January to now, and it's just like straight up,
It feels so good. But it's funny that you mentioned your wife that you were doing TikTok, because I had a very similar conversation with my wife, and she was just kind of like, she was supportive but not like stoked, because
Yep.
at the time TikTok was just like this dancing app that children
Yep.
danced on, and
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
was a music app or whatever, and it's not what it is today currently. So she was like, yeah, like, go ahead, do it. And I literally just started like making TikToks, just looking at my phone at my desk. Like, if you scroll back and look at my very first TikToks,
Was it you
and then
dancing?
look at
Tell me it's you dancing.
Dude, it's not me dancing. I made a promise to myself in the mirror that I would never dance on TikTok, and
Listen,
year
there's a
later on
price for
TikTok.
everything. There's a price for
Yeah.
everything, okay?
Okay, that's fair. I will be a hoe for money for sure if it comes to that. But I'll tell you, I definitely like have loved the content creation journey since TikTok has really kicked off because it's really pumped up the streaming numbers. And I'm not at anything crazy. Like my average is anywhere from, 15 on a bad day to 30 on a good day.
Sure.
It's
Yep.
just kind
Yep.
of all over the place. But that's kind of what's rocketed me is this the question of like, can I? Like, I wonder if I could. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And I think that has really driven, and maybe it has for you as well, is like any avenue of content creation is kind of like, I wonder if I can add this to my hand of cards kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To
No,
like build out the brand.
I'm the same way. Both of us have a mutual friend. Shout out to Morph Games.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's got a podcast, and I know we've both been on that multiple times. And the first time I went on it, that's kind of when things kind of was floating around in my head.
Mhm.
And now obviously that was several months ago, and now we're here. But
Yes.
it's always like adding new things to it, and
Mhm.
it's funny, both of us are a little older. I'm 37. I know you're in your
34,
30s.
dude, as of
Yeah,
2
you're in
days
your
ago,
30s.
so
So
killing it.
happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you,
Um,
thank you.
and married, kids, and I told my wife, and I'm pretty busy with this now. And so
Mhm.
I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start up a podcast, right? And she's like, looked at me, and she's like, when are you gonna have time for this stuff? Like, you are so
Yeah.
but like you're already doing so much. I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, who needs sleep at this point, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm going ham on this.
Yeah, dude, and that's what's so crazy is I'm really glad that we're starting this now because I'm gonna be honest, after a year of doing TikToks, I am really running out of ideas. Like I'm just
Yep.
running out of ideas for short form content to the point where it's like I've done 2 TikToks every single day for an entire year straight, and I'm really starting to kind of shift the idea to maybe doing 1 TikTok a day and then focusing on the podcast and the YouTube more because right now the following on TikTok is strong. Like it's not going anywhere.
Sure.
Everything is
Yep.
good. And that's been one of the things where, the I wonder if I can statement that it's driven everything in streaming so far is like, okay, so I wondered if I could do TikTok. I can. That's
Yep.
happening. That's good. And then it's the same thing where it's like, okay, if I'm going to get into YouTubing, I need to be able to video edit. So I wonder if I can start video editing. And I learned how to video edit. And then it's the same thing, bro.
Yep.
And we're experiencing right now is like, I wonder if I can do a podcast. Like
Yep.
that's the next thing. And when I was on Morph's thing is when I was on his show as well, bro, amazing. I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it so much. And
Yep.
like this type of media has been very, very cool to sit here and try to figure out. And obviously, like there's tech difficulties left and right.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
and that, dude,
I think this is
what
our
was
third time actually trying to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been
bro,
absolutely insane.
yeah, it's been completely nuts. What has been, or what at the beginning of streaming, when or your beginning of your content creation journey, what was one tech issue that like you couldn't figure out for the life of you, or you were having trouble with constantly? Because I have one, but I want to hear one from you because mine
Yeah.
was infuriating, bro.
So for me, I'm a tech guy. Like, I've been around technology most of my life. I built my first computer when I was like 12 years old. So I
dang.
kind of like know and understand a lot of tech stuff. But at the
Mhm.
same time, since I've been in the military, I've kind of stepped away a little bit on, don't get me wrong, my knowledge of building computers is still there, but I stepped away a little bit on the tech scene stuff. So
Mhm.
when I first started streaming, I had I had RTX 2080, right? I had all these things.
Sure.
And I was just, once again, I'm a perfectionist. So even my first stream, I was like, I want the best quality stream that I can put out there, right? But if you, it takes some time to get to that point, right?
Yeah, oh my God.
Some learning,
I'm
and
still not there.
I was just like, I was messing with so many settings and OBS and this and my computer to try and perfect it, because I hated the video quality, I hated my gameplay, I hated my audio. Listen,
Sure.
audio and streaming is probably the most infuriating thing for me. I am
Yeah.
always tweaking my microphone, my audio settings, my Go XLR, right? All these different things because
Mhm.
if you're not somebody who's been around audio, like an audio professional, it's difficult to perfect your audio in your stream and everywhere else. And probably once a month or probably once a week for me, I'm going in, I'm like, oh man, I really don't like the sound of my voice. It sounded kind of flat here. So let me change this. Let me change that. You know, I'm like, bro, at this point, I'm like, I need to just step away.
Settings. I've never tweaked my audio settings in my life, dude. I'm so bad with audio that I just got a mic that does everything for me. And I'm like, I hope it works. Like, good job.
That's what I did. That's what I did. I found YouTube and I was like, go XLR mini settings. Let me go ahead and get those settings from you.
Yeah.
So what was yours?
Dude, okay. So you were talking about like being a perfectionist and like having the perfect stream when you first started. Not me, bro. Like I had a PC luckily like given to me, which is the only way that I could have even started streaming. I gotta find the picture of it, but my first stream setup was a PC. I had a lamp without the light shade on it. So just like a light bulb, just like right in front of my face, like beaming. And then I had like the 2 monitors set up. But bro, my capture card, my external capture card, literally about 6 to 7 times a stream would just lose signal. So I would have to stop stream, unplug it, replug it
back
it
in,
would pop back up, reset the source, and then keep going. And it got to the point where like at one point it was like every 15 to 20 minutes, this capture card would like crap out. I tried the Razer Ripsaw. I tried the external Elgato one, which I think is the Elgato HD60.
Yeah.
And then I finally got the in PC capture card, which works wonders. It's like, I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place, but it kind of goes back to like in streaming, you kind of got to spend a little money to make a little money type situation. I didn't want to spend the extra $40 to get the in computer capture card. But then I should have in the first place, because by the time I got there, I spent like $280 on capture cards. So it was infuriating, bro.
Listen, you're not a streamer until you experience issues. You know what I'm saying? You're not a true streamer until you experience. Let everybody know that. If you're somebody getting started in streaming, do not worry. You are going to have mistakes live as it happens, real time. People are going to watch you make mistakes that are outside of your control. And probably my biggest tip for that one is just relax, because for me, I don't relax. I'm always panicking. I'm like, I have 35 people on my stream. They're gonna leave. They're gonna unfollow me. You know. But honestly, I mean, I know you've had issues, but it's everybody in your stream is very supportive. Everyone's like, oh, hey, you know what I'm saying? We get it. Like most people on Twitch platform are streamers, and they're very, very supportive. Like, hey, you know what? We're hanging out. Just you know, fix your stuff, and we'll be here.
Yeah, dude, I have found that it's very strange how accepting people are typically of tech issues. Now, if your entire stream is full of tech issues and like you have bad audio and your lighting sucks and your camera's cloudy or whatever, like no one's going to stay. But if you get like my first 3, that first, like my first 3, if you get like that first 3 to 5 people, those people are some of the most loyal followers and community members. Like I still have a good chunk of my Mixer normal followers still awesome. 3 years later on Twitch. And it's these are the people that are doing like the tier 3 subs to me. And I'm like, what are you doing? I don't understand. You know, so it is amazing how really, really loyal some people can be and like upkeep your tech stuff. It's kind of crazy for sure.
So question for you. When you really decided to start streaming and you told your wife and said, I want to do this, I want to start streaming, what was her reaction?
You want to hear something crazy, bro?
Yeah.
She told me I should stream. I never brought it up to her.
Yeah.
A little backstory on this is when my wife was pregnant with our second kid, we would sit down and just watch Tim the Tatman on our big screen TV for hours and hours and hours. And like, so she always thought he was hilarious and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, you could do this, right? Like if you wanted to. And I was like, I don't think it's that simple, but we could give it a whirl, you know? So she was like, you should really encourage, like, and she was one who really encouraged me to start streaming with my 2 buddies. And I was like, okay, like I'll get the stuff and I'll get the things and it'll be great. And yeah, dude, she was like 100% behind it in the very first stream. And I think, dude, here's the other thing too. If you're starting streaming and your significant other is not down for what you're doing, don't start streaming.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Oh my gosh, man. Like I had some rocky waters recently in the old marriage. And the second the marriage was kind of out of whack a little bit, bro, I lost all drive to content create, all drive to stream. Like I was like, no, priority number 1's got to come back into play. Cause
of course,
it's just because, and you've seen it too, right? Like you've seen people who have spouses or significant others that like don't like what they're doing and they think it's like a waste of time and they think it's all this stuff. And it never, there's just always something missing. There's always something missing from that. So
yeah, I mean, I was 36 years old, and I went to my wife and I said, I think I'm going to start streaming. You know, I got a good enough computer. I could start doing it. And
Sure.
she was never, it was never, like I said, I never initially was like, oh, I want to build it out to become, you know, whatever, right? Like this big thing or anything like that. It was really just
Mhm.
me, you know, whatever, playing some games with friends and streaming it. So initially it was very much just like, whatever, you know, he plays video games, with friends. Now he's just streaming it. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But as soon as I was like kind of putting a little bit more effort into it and spending some very late nights editing, watching YouTube videos, right? Those sort of things. That's when it was like, okay, hold on, what's happening here, right? But I've been fortunate enough to where I've you know, growing it out a little bit now to where my wife is like, you know what, like, okay, he kind of knows what he's doing clearly, and this is he's passionate about it, and it helps, you know, financially looking at the bank account once a month to see something coming in from this, that my wife is like, oh, hey, you know what, this is kind of turning into something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And we had that too, where it was like, there's a little something coming in now, which is
Yeah.
great. And it's not much, but it is,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, it's like a
It
part-time,
helps.
you know, mini
Yeah.
part-time gig or whatever.
Yep.
And you know, luckily we're at the point in like our life and our marriage where like typically all my streaming stuff is not needed for bills or anything like that. So it just kind of goes into a savings account for me. And it's like my
Sure.
fun money and the stuff
Yeah.
that goes
Yeah.
back into the stream. But yeah, man, like it's hard to justify buying some
It's tough.
things if you're not producing the funds to be able to buy those things. Like that's
I,
where
I
things kind of get a little
I went
crazy.
out. So like I said, my first couple months streaming, I had, you know, a cheap little webcam, a USB mic, nothing crazy, right?
Sure.
And then as soon as I was like, hey, you know what? I want this to become a thing. I went ham. Like rebuilt my gaming PC, got a second dual PC, got to go XR. Mind you, this was not all at the same time. This, you know, I
Sure.
didn't go out.
It can
you know,
never
but
be,
it was
dude.
it was slowly built up to that, right? But now, you know,
Yeah.
I stole my wife's DSLR camera. I got a capture card on it, right? Which so she wasn't using it before, so that's one reason
Sure.
why I took it, because I was like, yo, I could get rid of this junky webcam and I could have a nice looking, you know,
That's true.
camera.
Is it
So
the camera you're using right now?
it is, yeah.
Look at you, dude.
So
Look
yeah,
at you.
but now all of a sudden she wants it back. She's like, she comes in chat every once in a while. She's like, I want my camera back. I'm like, you're not getting it back,
Dude, my wife was big into photography when she was in college, and we were going through some stuff because I just moved into my parents' house. We are going through some stuff from storage, and I found a camera bag, and I said, "Kels, what is this?" And she was like, "Oh, that's my DSLR camera."
I remember you sent a message about this.
Bro, it doesn't have clean HDMI out, so I can't use it. Like
Yeah, that
it's
sucks.
just like because if I try to use it, it's gonna have like all the camera stuff on
Yep.
the outside of the
Yep.
like whatever. And I was like, what a slap in the face. Like almost. I was this close to DSLR camera for free, and it just away.
Yeah.
It just went away.
Speaking of like, you know, getting started with like equipment, so if you're somebody who's just now getting started into this, what do you think is like the minimum basics somebody should go out and buy?
Minimum basics someone should go out and buy streaming.
And what do you
I'm
think is
gonna
like the most important component?
Yeah, I'm going to assume in this list that you already have a PC. I'm not
Sure.
because
That's
buying a
yeah.
PC for streaming. You can do a lot with just OBS. You don't need a big, powerful machine
Sure.
to stream. But eventually, if you're going to do like gaming and stuff, you do. So I'm going to assume that you have a PC that you bought in the last 3 years or
Yep.
made or whatever it is. So depending on console or PC streaming, obviously capture card. You got to have a capture card if you're going to do that. So Elgato makes capture cards. They're all fantastic. I've used all of them. They're great. So definitely that, but it's got to go in the order of audio first, lighting second, camera third. Camera is not the like everyone like sees the camera and they're like DSLR camera got to drop $2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah, I'm like, well, actually, hold on. The C920, which is $60, and 2 really decent ring lights will
100%.
get you there. You know,
Yeah, I've seen many TikToks where somebody goes through a tutorial on you know the C920 and they got the proper lighting and they show you what it can look like, because that's the issue, right? Most people they don't have the good lighting to make their image, you know, look, you know, good. But really, the C920 or some of these higher end webcams, it's completely capable of producing a good quality image.
Yeah, dude. And like what you're seeing right now, this is the Elgato face cam.
Yeah.
This is not a DSLR camera. It's just a face cam with decent lighting. And I'm getting,
Yeah.
I'm getting a big massive like studio light over here at some
Sure.
point here in the very near future. So that'll change things up. But going back to the original question of like what you need, I would get for just bare bones minimum 2 ring lights, put them 45 degrees in front of
Yep.
you on each side from Amazon. They're $45 each.
Yep.
They got tons of different settings. That's perfect for your lighting. C920, or there's actually a Logitech camera that's actually really good as well. And I don't remember the name of it, but it's around the same price point. So you can get that. And then if you're getting a mic, if you're doing a $50 mic, because typically mics are not going to be under $50 and they're going to start sucking at that point. So I would do either, I used the Blue Yeti for years. And then I have tried out the Fifine A8 microphone.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like the HyperX microphone. It's like got all the RGB all around the mic and stuff, but it sounds great. It sounds perfect. I mean, I'm using the Beacon mic right now, and this is probably the only mic I'll ever need for the rest of my life because I don't want to deal with the Go XLR stuff. So this is just a USB mic. But if you're going to do just bare bones minimal, 2 ring lights, a Logitech or C920 webcam, a $50 mic, total, you could probably do it realistically, get everything you needed for like under $300 if you really, really wanted to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, it's easy when you get into streaming, right? And this is where it caught me, you know, in terms of like spending money, because I was somebody and I was looking at Nick Merckx's stream, right? I'm looking at people, you know, who have really high quality streams, and literally, I mean, God only knows how much they spent on their setups, right? I mean, literally in the tens of thousands of dollars. But that was me, and I'm like sitting there like looking stuff up, and don't get me wrong, obviously, you know, I think I've it's proven to put out a good quality stream. But if I can go back in time, like you know, you don't need the Elgato key lights when you first, you know, start out, right? You don't need a DSLR. You don't need a you know, Go XLR Mini or the mic or anything like that, right? I think exactly what you said. I think audio is the most important key to when you're first starting out. Good, clean audio for your stream. Because let's be real, most people are lurking in your streams, right? They're not, of course, not maybe not lurking, but have it kind of like pulled up, and it's like almost like background noise to them. And when your audio is off, you know, if it's coming from, like, say for example, a headset mic, those sort of things, then, you know, people are going to be like, you know, whatever, like your audio sounds kind of terrible, and get away from that. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that, man. I really think that you can get away with probably $200 to $300 range on getting a good quality setup with your camera, lights, and your microphone to be able to get started and have a good enough quality stream to grow it to a mid-size. You know, when I say mid-size, I'm talking 20 to 30 viewer range, and then that's maybe where you can kind of start looking at, okay, now let's start maybe upgrading these key pieces to my streaming setup to the next best thing.
Yeah, and I think also there is something to be said about the people who are really loyal to you and want you to succeed. If they want the quality of stream to go up, people can donate for that. Like, and I'm not saying like lean on your community and like use them as a crutch and beg them for money. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But everything that I have, almost minus the PC that I just built, was from stream revenue. Like, everything that you get from stream, just put it right back into stream. Like, don't try to buy all this other stuff. Like you mentioned, getting key lights right off the bat. I feel like as a streamer, you got to earn those. Like, I don't have key lights, you know, like I don't have key lights at all. I want them real bad. They look awesome. And the Stream Deck is a great vanity item to have, but there's so much in streaming you don't need.
100%.
You want, like,
and you
see all those tech talker desk setups on TikTok and all this kind of stuff, that you need a fraction of that to be successful on Twitch. I just think it's so funny that we see all these people with like these boss setups, and they're so wonderful, and they're like $10,000 to $15,000 setups, when, like, realistically, some of the top Twitch streamers are streaming on setups that are like $500 max, and that's just what it is, because they grew on Twitch at the time where like all you had to do was stream. Like, you didn't have to do social media, you didn't have to like market yourself, you just had to be on the platform, and then it kind of rewarded you for doing that. But you were saying as well about like social media stuff, like obviously getting started not only in Twitch, but if you're going to get started growing on Twitch and actually like taking it semi seriously, you need to be able to brand yourself, and you need to be able to
100%.
figure out how to get people to come and see you. The word on the street is that Twitch is notoriously bad with discoverability. I have yet to see that, because I have so many people coming in, they're like, oh, you were on my recommended channel. And I was like, okay, I guess like
Yeah,
that sounds great. Thanks, Twitch. But so how would you go about doing social media stuff? Because obviously you have the TikTok, you have the Instagram, you
sure.
have Twitter. Those
Yeah,
are
I
like
mean,
the three big ones, right?
I think those are the three big ones. YouTube, obviously,
Oh,
but I mean,
YouTube, duh.
you 100% need to go out and create a social media account for everything. And then I think the
Sure.
biggest key is your username, your branding name needs to be the same across the board for all of them as
Hmm.
well, right? For me, it's basically like that. Mine is some the Dad the Gamer was taken, so I used like Dad the Gamer with the 3 at the end kind of deal. So, but I
Sure.
mean, you got to keep your branding across the same across the board, because when people are trying to find you, that's how they're gonna look up to you on Twitch, or right, your Discord or your YouTube, things of that nature. That's how they're gonna find you.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to brand yourself the same across the board. And you're 100% right. You talked a little bit about it. I know we'll talk about this in another episode, but discoverability, it's all on you, right? You have to be able to
100%.
put out your content, to be able to be discovered on Twitch as a platform, because Twitch is very saturated. You have to be able to get your name
Hmm.
out there and be discovered, because that's where the frustration is going to come into play. And people talk about burnout, that sort of thing, because if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be able to grow at any kind of rate that gives you some satisfaction, to
Hmm.
say, what, this is working. Instead, you're probably going to get frustrated and say, this isn't working. I'm going to stop
Hmm.
doing this. I'm going to give it up. So 100% social medias across the board at a minimum. And I know we're on the same page on this. TikTok is number one. If you are
Oh
not
my
on
God,
TikTok, you
bro.
have to get on TikTok. TikTok
Oh
is
my
the answer
God.
right now.
Yeah.
And then the second would be YouTube.
Hmm.
Just because YouTube Shorts, they're really pushing out YouTube Shorts right now. They're trying to keep up with TikTok and what TikTok is doing. So
Sure.
I would 100% do YouTube Shorts, and then Instagram. Instagram is weird. I know you did a 30-day kind of thing where you posted a lot, so you probably talk a little bit
Yeah.
more about the Instagram thing. But for
Yeah.
me, I mean, I still have an Instagram. I still try to post it on a regular basis, just because at the end of the day, I mean, if you have the same video, if there's you don't have to edit anything, all it is
Yeah.
uploading to another platform is pretty easy, right?
Yeah, dude, and I mean, I'm with you on all the things you just said, especially like I would go as far as to say don't do Instagram and do TikTok and YouTube, because those are the two areas right now that are just absolutely booming. And the argument can
Sure.
be made like, hey, Instagram is pushing Reels. Instagram doesn't even know what Instagram is. So I
Exactly.
like Dad the Gamer just mentioned, I did a posting every single day on Instagram multiple times a day for 30 days straight. And I was like, I want to see what happens. I want to see if the algorithm can figure me out. I want to see if I can figure it out, whatever. And what I learned from Instagram is that Instagram has the views. Like you can
Yep.
have eyeballs on your
Crazy.
content like crazy. Like the majority of my recycled TikToks that I put onto Instagram without the watermark have 10,000 to 15,000 views on Instagram, which
Yep.
is way more views than they have on my actual TikTok account. But the issue with Instagram is that there's no real people there. Like
Yeah.
Instagram, from what I've experienced, is just all bots. It's all fake engagement. There's very few real engagement. And I'd get a video that would have 10,000 views, and I would get 2 new followers from it.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I got a video with 10,000 views on TikTok, I would at least get 50 followers from that. Like
Yeah.
it just didn't really add up very well. So at this point for me, I have stopped uploading on Instagram, and I'm watching my videos kind of compound in views over
Sure.
time. And like I'm
Yep.
still getting followers, but I'm not doing anything on Instagram
Yep.
because everything that Instagram has come out with is just that they want to be TikTok and they're not. And people
Yep.
want them to be the photo album that they have been for so long. And Instagram is trying to move away from that. So that it's just a very confusing platform. But if you're going to start on social media and you want to know like the best things to do for each social media, obviously this is probably going to be an entire other podcast, but
Sure.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I was the most surprised by Twitter. Twitter is what I was most surprised by, because not only are you interacting with people in real time, but the people that I followed on TikTok, I found on Twitter, and we now have normal conversation on a regular
Yeah.
basis. And that's been actually a great networking tool, way more than Instagram and
Yep.
even way more than YouTube right now. And YouTube's not really designed for that. It's more the long form content and the short
Yep.
form content. But when it comes to what you must have, like must have, Dad hit it right on the head. You gotta have TikTok, and I don't care like
Yep.
what you're posting on it. I mean, I've spoken against game clips forever and ever,
Yeah.
but there's people that use game clips and they do very very well on game clips. So to each their own. You just got to be good at what you're doing, and just dude, TikTok
Hey,
reigns supreme
exclamation
and
fall
it's the
damage!
best.
Exclamation fall damage! Okay.
Yeah, dude, for
Um,
sure.
yeah,
For
so
sure.
I kind of wanted to touch a little bit, and we're kind of winding down for this episode, but I wanted to touch a little bit on getting started. Initially, for me, one of the difficult things that I had to do was getting comfortable in front of the camera. It took me kind of a
Oh,
long
dude,
time
yeah.
to get to this point to where I'm comfortable in front of the camera. I could speak right, and
Hmm.
just it's natural. It feels natural, right? That took a long
Yeah.
time for me to get there. So when you're getting started, I think just focus on getting comfortable in front of the camera, speaking, constantly talking, right?
Hmm.
Because that's something that is, I mean, it's the number one skill you need, right? If you're not comfortable on
Sure.
camera, people are gonna be like, "Oh, this is really awkward," right?
Yeah, it's
Um,
weird for everybody involved
it's weird
when
for
that
everybody
happens.
involved, yeah. So I mean, 100%, you gotta be able to get comfortable on camera and be able to just kind of just flow, right? And so your
Hmm.
first probably few streams, I would honestly argue, maybe even your first, depending on how much you're streaming, right? Your first few weeks streaming, just get to that point where you're comfortable on camera, because it's definitely a skill that is not everybody has, right? If you're not an actor,
Hmm.
or somebody who's into photography, right, where you're in front of the camera a lot, which is honestly, let's be real, most people in society,
Sure.
especially most
Yeah.
people starting to stream, it's going to take a little bit for you to kind of get comfortable to that level. And
Hmm.
that's something for me that was, kind of difficult to get to. But once you do, I mean, once you have it, it kind of just starts clicking. And now, once again, I mean, it's crazy that I could do this. I could turn on this camera, because if you told me 2 years ago I'd be able to do this, I'd be like, no, I'm freaking awkward, Nobody wants
For
to
sure,
watch
dude.
and listen to me, and
For
whatever. Here I
sure.
am, right?
And well, and it's also interesting too because you don't realize that you've gotten better at the skill until you look back at your old
Sure.
stuff and
Oh
you're
yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, dude!"
What
Like,
was I
I
doing?
yeah, I have a few of my Facebook streams from when I first left Mixer still up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Bro, it is night and day. Like it just takes time. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people they want all this instant gratification. Like
Sure.
they want to stream once and have 800 followers and like
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. But dude, getting better at just talking in front of the camera, you don't realize how good you get at it until somebody like a significant other or your wife or your
Yep.
husband or whatever comes and sits down and like has a stream night with you. And
Yep.
they just like, it's kind of like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like I don't, they just don't know because like I've been sitting here talking to a camera for 3 years straight. Right. So
Sure.
like for
Yeah. Yeah.
me, it's just like another person in the room.
Yep. Yep.
It's not a big deal. And then obviously, like, you get better at it when you do YouTube and you get
Yep.
better at it when you keep recording TikToks. And like the more you get into content creation, the better you get at just talking to a camera. But man, it is an acquired skill that is not quickly learned. It took me a while to get to the point where I could
Yep.
just vibe out with the camera and feel like I was just in the same room with the
I'm
chat,
I'm glad we're on the same page, and a last kind of discussion about it, but
Mhm.
I think there's a difference also when you're live streaming versus pre-recorded content. So for me,
Oh,
I
dude,
was
yeah.
live streaming for a long time, and I think I got to the the comfort level to be good, But as soon as I was like, all right, now
Yeah.
I need to work on pre-recorded content, it was like I reset all over again, because I was just
Mhm.
like over analyzing everything, right? I'm like, what am I doing with like, this and that? I'm like sitting there looking, I'm like, oh, I got a zit on my head. Right now, I got a little zit right here. I don't care anymore, right?
It's
I'm
so funny,
37.
dude.
It's just, I don't care, right? But when
Yeah.
you start doing, transition from live stream to pre-recorded content, which is obviously, I think, everybody's goal. But I don't think
Mhm.
you should probably do that right off the bat. But we'll save that for a later one. But when you transition, it's like not like you're doing it all over again, but it's just this learning process of being comfortable with yourself and who you are
Yeah.
on camera, because now you're able to analyze what just happened in real time in Adobe Premiere or whatever, DaVinci Resolve, whatever editing software you have, where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't like how I look or sound. But at this point, you're just like, whatever, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, dude. Like I actually had somebody come into my stream because they came from TikTok, and the majority of my TikToks are like all edited. They're high quality, like they're
Yeah.
great. And then somebody came into the stream, they're like, you're a lot more scatterbrained in real life than you are in TikTok. And I was like, bro, and that's the beauty of content creation is like every single medium is a
Yep.
different, almost a different version of you in some way, because like
Yep.
my YouTube content is very carefully curated. It's long. It's kind of scripted sometimes, like whatever.
Yep.
My TikToks is just 30 seconds of me giving you the knowledge you need, and then boom, you're done. But you come to a stream for 3 hours, dude, and typically it's just chatting. And it's just me like bouncing off the walls, like this topic and that topic and that
Yep.
topic. And part of that is great and like learned from continually talking the whole time and like learning that skill. But dude, it's completely different. The first time you record a YouTube, you're just like, oh,
what do I do with my
God.
hands?
It's so crazy, man. It's so rigid. But yeah, I agree with you, dude. I agree with you for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, hey, dude, this is I'm super glad we're able to do this, man. And for everyone out there that doesn't follow us, doesn't know about us, look, we're both still learning on some things, right? On most things, but we've myself and Pastorgainz have kind of figured out some things on growth, and I know a lot of his content, my content, is to try to help people. We go about that in a very different way, but our goal for this podcast is to take our knowledge of the things that we've done to be successful and the things that we failed at, right? Because at the end of the day, if you your failures are going to teach you something, right? So be able to take what we've learned in our content creation and streaming journey so far, be able to put it out there for everybody else to have some success, to take some of that frustration off and to avoid that burnout where you're like, man, I'm done. Let me sell my stream deck and everything else. So that's kind of my last thoughts. You have anything else?
Nah, man. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's kind of one of those things where we're going to kind of sit down and do this for the long haul. We really hope you guys are going to enjoy the content. We have a lot of good topics that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks. We are going to try to do this weekly. I think that's the goal, at least. And, we'll batch as much content as we can as a time for you guys. But really, we have all kinds of social medias that are going to pop up here at the very end of the screen. But if you want to follow each individual one of us, look up some form of TheDadTheGamer on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch. I am Pastorgainz at every single thing except for Twitch. It's just Pastorgainz. But every other social media is I am Pastorgainz. So if you want to connect with us over there, you are more than welcome to do so. We'd love to have you guys there and continue the conversation over there as well. But yeah, dude, that's all we have for this particular episode. So we will see you guys in episode number 2, which is crazy to say.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And yeah,
Thanks for
that's
listening,
it,
guys.
man. Yeah, thanks, guys.